Cloud. All right, and I think I let out the waiting room as well. Yep. Good evening, Sorors. Good evening. I love it. My Sorors from my chapter are bright and early. I love it. Friend of the class. I appreciate you all for joining us. Maybe we'll give them one more minute for a couple of other people to join us. We appreciate you all. We don't want to, we want to respect your time. We will give it one more minute. Then I will share my screen. There's the share button. There it is. All right, we're going to get started. Good evening. Good evening, Soras.
Good
I
evening.
appreciate, good evening, Sora Jones, and to those in our audience. We welcome you to our Elder Care Advocacy 101. Um, for those that don't know me, and I think everyone in the room does, I'm Ellen Reaves, the Atlantic Regional Elder Care Coordinator, and with me is my wonderful counterpart from the Commonwealth, or Jocelyn Jones. And let me share my screen. We have a
Hello,
presentation,
everyone.
and let me know when you can see that.
Yes.
All right. We are all familiar with this slide. We like to start all of our presentations giving honor to our 5 founders. We appreciate their vision. I don't even know if they could have envisioned where this organization has grown, and and the complexities that we're going through is um, it's very challenging right now, but they've given us the foundation, right? They've given us the tools that we need to meet the needs of our community. And as well as, the leadership that we have, we like to as well acknowledge them. Dr. Stacy NC Grant, our International Grand Bosselist and CEO, as well as our Atlantic Regional Director, the Honorable Beverly S. Tatham. They too have provided us and equipped us with a lot of tools, a lot of programs that allow us to um, put this presentation together. And our whole goal is to show you all how to utilize what we have, combine that with the needs of the community so that we can um, help those most vulnerable among us to deal with some of the stressors that they are dealing with. And I also want to give honor to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania State Director, Olivia B. Miller. If she as well pops on tonight, Sora Jones, you let me know if you can see her in the room, because I can't see because I'm sharing my screen, and we'll certainly allow her to bring greetings as soon as we can. And I already introduced myself. I would like to give my counterpart here, Sora Jones, the floor so she can say a few words about her involvement in this. So I'll turn it over to you, Sora Jones. You're muted, my
Hey,
dear.
yes, thank you. So, good evening, everyone. I'm Soror Jocelyn Jones. Everyone calls me Josie. I am from the Beta Delta Zeta chapter here in Philadelphia, but as in my capacity tonight, I am here as your Pennsylvania Social Action Coordinator. And my job is to help talk about something that's so near and dear and important to the work that we're doing in the sisterhood, and that is advocacy and ways that we all can help our elders get involved in the work that's going on in our current political climate.
And our third partner unfortunately had a conflict. We were so hoping she certainly helped us put this together, and we were so hoping she would be able to join us, but she sends her regrets. But I wanted to let you know she is the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Elder Care Coordinator, Soror Cromartie. So we won't keep you too long tonight, but we have a couple of things on the agenda. We're going to first talk about putting together a needs assessment. I know my chapter's been talking about it, utilizing the elder care toolkit that we already have access to give, and we also wanted to give you some action steps, right? How to take everything that you gathered, the information, put it into action, come up with a plan, not just for right now, but certainly going forward for the next year or two. Okay. We want to give you some examples of how to do quality programming and because the buzzwords is all about impact to the community that our Grand Basilisk wants us to be able to really penetrate and really meet the needs of the community. I also wanted to talk about data collection and program evaluation because what doesn't get measured you can't improve. So we want you to make sure you're measuring, collecting the data, measuring it, evaluating it, so that you can grow, right? And so that the organization can learn from it and you as a chapter can expand what you're doing, whether it's the Zeta chapter or even, our friends, our amici, our the auxiliary, if your chapter has them and ways you can do partnering in your programming. We're going to provide you with some resources and we'll provide an opportunity for question and answer. So let's move on to the first part. So starting your advocacy journey. And Soror Jones, you can kind of jump in at any time. Let me just say this, but I wanted to talk first about a needs assessment. And you often hear about why this is necessary, right? The whole purpose of it is to get a sense from the community, get input from them, whether it's individuals, whether it's organizations that also serve the community in the same capacity that your chapter does, but certainly finding out what the needs are, right? What issues are impacting them negatively, or just what issues that they are most concerned with, right? That they need improvement, that they need assistance with. That's the whole purpose of doing a needs assessment. We can, even though we are generally part of the community, we may not necessarily be intimately involved in the lives, and we're talking about our elders. We may not be understanding what impacts them collectively, right? And there could be subsets of the community. Like, for example, my chapter serves two different communities, and the needs are different, right? One area, let's say Northeast Philadelphia, may have one set of needs, and the other area in Bucks County may have another set of needs. So it's important to really identify and try not to, you know, do a blanket statement that, oh, all seniors care about are Medicare. That's one way to discount what's really impacting them on a day-to-day basis. So let me give you an example. The needs assessment. Can you see the pop-up that just came up?
We can.
Okay. This is the community needs assessment that was provided as a sample. Are suggesting that you partner with a local organization who also has the same desire to serve the community, right? This is an excellent tool that we will make available if you do not have it. And it really breaks down how to actually conduct a needs assessment if you've never done one, right? And whole purpose, as I talked about, is to come up with different methods to get a comprehensive understanding of the community needs, right? What you'll be able to do is identify and prioritize the issues that you want to address. You'll be able to optimize resource allocation because you don't want to duplicate efforts, right? That doesn't make sense, you and another organization. So it's a real good idea to partner with an organization. We'll talk about a couple of examples of that as well. And this is a great guide, and it really helps you create a matrix to determine, and help you prioritize who the stakeholders are. What is the timeline you're looking to accomplish this? Is it in the next 6 months? Is it over a year? It doesn't have to be a right now thing. You can certainly do this and help with future programming. So this is a great tool that we want to make sure everyone takes advantage of. And the other thing I wanted you to be aware of is the Elder Care Toolkit. Our Elder Care International Directors came up with this last year, and they want us to continue to utilize the information. It provides a great framework for elder care activities specifically. They give great suggestions of programming such as elder abuse, and this is for the whole year. So this, what we're talking about right now is social action as we ramp up for, let's say, political activities coming up. But the Elder Care Toolkit helps you utilize this information all year round, right? It gives sample programming. Many of you might be aware of how to adopt a senior center or adult daycare center, how to do a caregiving workshop, how to address senior finances, financial literacy, health issues. So this really does give you a broad range of program suggestions and how to, again, partner with other organizations, how to utilize social media to expand your outreach, and to let the community know, what your chapter is specifically doing. So let me just stop and see if there's any questions so far. I don't see any hands raised. If so, you can just come off mute or raise your hand. All right, so let's move on. The next thing we want to talk about, all right, we've done our community needs assessment. You've taken a look at the toolkit and see how, you can do some long-term planning, long-range planning. What do you do next, right? You've identified some issues. Now let's help you put together an action plan. So, Soror Jones, did you want to speak to this?
No, I saw all politics are local, so I got excited. So because it is very much so.
Yeah, so what we are suggesting is that you look at all the issues that have been identified from your needs assessment, based on your resources, based on the capacity that your chapter can carry out some of these programming. What is your priority? What issue do you want to address? So for example, if you really want to work with the senior community, help them get prepared for upcoming elections, that'll be the example we'll use tonight. What you would do is arrange for a meeting with your local city council representative or, your statewide House or Senate representative in Harrisburg, or you get prepared to meet the local, representatives down in DC. If you plan to attend Zeta Day on the Hill, this is a great opportunity for you to get prepared. Now, if you haven't registered already for that, it might even be sold out. I don't know, but doesn't mean you can't plan for next year, right?
There are
Doesn't
a few
mean.
seats left for Zeta Day on the Hill at this time. There are a few seats available.
Oh, good to know. Good to know. So if this is something you want to participate in, you really should act fast. So again, we want you to put together an action plan and come up with at least one issue you want to have a conversation with, whether it's your local representative, someone at the state level, or down on the federal level down in DC. Okay, you got to determine based on the issue, who can address it quickly, who can address it, where does it lie? Is it a funding issue? So it really depends on what the issue is. And we'll give a couple examples of how to determine who can you address the issue with in terms of your representative. So let's move on. So an advocacy action plan. We want to, again, encourage you to partner with some organizations in the community, such as a local senior center, to come up with some local programming, okay? If you want to take it a step further on the state level, a statewide organization that you might want to approach to see how you and their organization can work would be a local department on aging or area agency on aging, or a community organization that has statewide impact like AARP. We already have a relationship, Zeta does, with AARP. And since we're talking about the Commonwealth specifically, they do have a Philadelphia location. So, and they have locations throughout the state. So that's an organization that, although they have a local office, it has a national or even a statewide impact. The same thing with the United Way and the other organizations such as NAACP and the Urban League. Even your local church may have a connection, statewide, that you can partner with them to address some of the needs that you've already identified and prioritized based on the needs assessment. Then the next step would be to, again, identify the specific legislature. Are they on the federal level? Are they on the state level? Or are they on the local level that help you address that one issue, right, that you've identified? Okay. And we have a sample letter that I wanted to show you of how you will do some outreach. So hopefully, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Can you see that? Is that better to be read?
Yes.
So what you would do is you would address your concerns because you want to do some outreach and, again, to arrange for a meeting. This should be your first line of contact, right? Send a letter ahead of time to arrange the meeting and have this prepared with you as well. So you would address it, dear whoever you're addressing it to. And we're going to give you all of these resources just so you all aware. You don't have to take notes. We're going to provide all of the resources to everyone who attended. But in the letter, you address it to whoever the legislator is, and you talk a little bit about whatever the request is. You want them to do such and such, support a bill, help with the budget. I've given you sample language. And then you have to do your research, right? Hopefully you've not only done the community needs assessment, but you've done some research into the issue, right? How does it impact the community? How has it globally, right? Look up some articles, find what's online, get some history about the organization. So you have not the organization, the issue. So you have an understanding so that you can talk intelligently about the issue. Don't let this be the first time, that you are dealing with this, right? You really want to be thoroughly well read on whatever issue you're trying to address, okay? Throughout the letter, you're going to talk about not only starting with what you're asking them to do, giving the history and the impact in the community. Then you might want to throw in some statistics if you come across it. And then you end the letter, you restate what you're asking for. Are you asking them to change a policy? Are you asking them to increase funding? Are you asking them to put money into infrastructure so we don't have potholes on the street that the seniors can't drive down the road? Whatever the issue is, you really want to outline it in a letter. And if it's tied to a bill that's pending, and that's a whole nother thing that we'll talk about in a second too, how to look up legislation that's pending that may impact what's going on, right? You should include that language, which talks about you've actually done your research. And then you just sign it and you make sure it comes from the organization. And keep in mind, when you are letting them know who you are, right, and you put Zeta Phi Beta's name on it, you have to be clear about, and maybe Soror Jones can talk about how to address that. Let me just stop there, Soror Jones, to have you chime in about this letter.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So when you're thinking about advocacy and you're ready to make your ask or go to your legislator with an issue that you want them to make changes on, you want to make sure if it's for the sisterhood, like this time we're doing Momney Bus for Day to Day on the Hill. So anything around the Momney Bus is our target of conversation. So that's when we would say yes, we want you to support the Momney Bus by giving it more funds. As people know, may not know that the Zeta Day on the Hill is purposely in September because the federal budgets are created in October, not like a nonprofit where they may be created in July. So the reason why we do Zeta Day on the Hill nearing the end of September because that's when the federal budgets will be passed. So this is a time that you'll go out and you may say, yes, we're supporting the omnibus and we've signed this letter and that on that behalf, and you'll know which organization. Let's say you want to fight against gun violence, you'll go to that organization and you'll sign on to fight against gun violence. And politics are local, so there are things you may say, I want speed bumps on my street. How do I do that? You get with your neighbors and you write a letter and you send it to your city person, your city council, or your state rep, and that's how you get things done right in your local area. And it's almost always comes from a letter. Or if you run into a politician in the community, the first thing they'll say is, oh, write me a letter, send me an email, because they're thinking that you're not going to do it. And once you do that, the first, that's the first conversation. And you want them to know, I am your constituent. I am so and so on A Street. And they look right in because voting is public. They'll know, oh yes, Ms. Jones from A Street voted for me. She's my constituent. I better give her a call back or answer this letter because that is a part of the policy that they have, is to contact with their constituents because we're the ones who voted them in.
Thank you. Thank you for that context. And what we've also provided is links directly to all of the websites where you can find who your representatives are, right? Since, we have no idea where people live, we just give you the link and you can do your own search. Once you click on it, you put in your zip code and it brings you directly to whoever is representing you on the federal level, the state level, um, in the House or even on the Senate. Okay, let's talk about this real quick. So I gave you an example here about research I did on some issues that might be concerning to you, right? But I know seniors in the Commonwealth might be interested. So these are three, HB is House Bill, right, Soror Jones? Okay, I just want to make sure I had that right. These are three pieces of legislation that are currently pending right now, because I just did this the other day. One is about reverse mortgage counseling. And if you have a parent, grandparent, anyone who owns their home or still lives in their home that they own and they have let's say they've paid off the mortgage, right? But unfortunately, they can't afford the taxes. Okay, the taxes are going up and they can't afford it, and they may need to take some of the equity out the home. That's what a reverse mortgage is, right? It's just a new mortgage, but taking the equity out the home and using it to help them for their everyday expenses. So this particular bill has to do with a reverse mortgage counseling, just to make sure seniors know exactly what they're getting into because they may not understand all the legal language or whatever. The second bill, which I did research on, talks about for those in a nursing home, there's a certain amount of money that they're allowed to have, right? I want to say let's say it's $1,000. It's called personal needs, right? This bill talks about increasing that amount of money. Why? Because everything costs more money, right? Everything's gone up, groceries gone up. So that same $1,000 that the feds have had at this level for years, it doesn't buy the same amount of stuff anymore. So they want to increase it. That's what that bill is, right? And the people and the name in parentheses are the ones who initially sponsored the bill. That's a person's name, right? It may or may not be your representative, but it's a person, who actually initially wrote the bill. This last one has to do about, everyone's aware that the money, the profit that comes from the lottery in Pennsylvania goes to help senior programs. So this last one is this is the proposal, is to reduce the profit margin, right? And that means less money will go to the senior programs. So let's say, for example, you decided that this is the issue you want to address, right? Because the seniors on your block heard about it and you want to advocate for them. What you would do in the letter is you would reference this information, right? Go look up the bill, read it, make sure you have a little bit of an understanding of what it really says and what they're proposing, because you will not only see the original bill, but you also see additional proposed amendments, meaning other legislators decided to make changes to it or agree with it. So you'll just see the whole process and where it is, okay? But the example is you take that one issue, you utilize that information in the letter, you give your position, and then your final part of the letter is what you're asking them to do. You want them to oppose this because you realize that the funds that go to senior programming are still needed. Okay. So that's how you would do that. This is another example, right? The one big beautiful bill. We're all very well aware it just got passed in July. Now, thinking to yourself, how is your community, if not affected right now, give it another month, they'll be affected, right? For example, this is how you'll see the effects of this recent bill that passed. For nursing homes, right? It reduces the Medicaid funds given to nursing homes for long-term care services. So when a nursing home is not getting the reimbursement anymore, they can't hire staff, they can't have Medicaid beds. So this directly affects our community, okay? And I outlined it here, okay? The average cost of a nursing home is $8,700. Who can afford that? Not many people. So if many of the seniors in the community are going to utilize Medicaid funds to take care of them, to pay for the funding in a nursing home, it's not going to be there because they've cut back on the funding for Medicaid, which affects nursing homes. The second issue, which is a result of this one big beautiful bill, is those, and again, it has to do with Medicaid, those that are currently on Medicaid health plans, right? They may not realize they're on a Medicaid health plan because it's called Keystone First or United Healthcare Community Plan. They're thinking it's just their Medicare. It's not. It's a Medicaid sponsored program, right? They're cutting back on those. That means when you go to recertify, they're going to cut you off the program, right? That's directly going to impact so many lives in the community. It's just blowing my mind, right? And I'll tell you a personal story. My mother-in-law, but she's in Jersey, just got kicked off her Medicaid plan, but it's a whole process. I know. And the last one you've heard about, SNAP, right? Which is food stamps, right? Not only affects our children, it affects our seniors. That means Meals on Wheels and all of the food programs, right? That are not going to get their reimbursement. So that means there's so many that are going to go hungry because of this. So these are examples of how this one horrible, horrible bill, right, affects a community in so many ways. So if you want to deal with that, that's how you will write your letter and include all of this information that you've done your research on in the letter and figure out what your ask is. So let me just stop there to see if Soror Jones wants to comment on any of that.
Oh, that's awesome. That's amazing. And fortunately, it's all very true. So when you are working with your seniors or you're putting your programming together, depending on your community, pick things that are impactful to that community and make sure, especially in our Northeast Bucks County area,
Mm-hmm.
many of those friends up there vote very, very differently, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't understand how it's impacting their community. So those are great, great starting points for the Bucks County specifically, and some parts of lower, like Delaware County, experience some of the same issues.
Absolutely. And even a more affluent county, like the Montgomery counties and,
Yes.
even going up further north, Lehigh County and all of that.
Yep.
They're going to be, like I said, impacted in so many different ways. You'd be surprised, right? All of, if you get, um, assistance with your heating bill, right? If you get, a lot of these little smaller programs, they're all losing their funding. That means they're not going to be able to take on new clients. It's just awful. It's just awful. I can't even begin to tell you. But let's get back to being advocates, right? Let's go back to our presentation. Okay. So we wanted to wait. Did I do that? Okay, that was the action plan. Now, we are mandated to do programming under the umbrella of the extraordinary power of she. And everything we're talking about tonight talks all about the S under that, right? Social action, right? And what's the social impact to all of your programming, right? And what we want to do is give you some suggestions of how to put all this together, okay? Let's go back to the beginning. You've done your community needs assessment. You realize that maybe you're partnering with a local senior center and you realize they could use some help getting voter registration, doing voter education, meaning helping them understand how to vote by mail, maybe bringing some voter registration cards directly to the senior center might be helpful, right?
Making
Helping
sure
them
they know when to
understand the
mail.
ballot questions. So go ahead,
Mhm.
Sora Jones.
Helping them know when to mail off their. So what happens in the world, right? When people go to the nursing homes or
Mm-hmm.
seniors, people forget that they need support with voting. Voting by mail is something that many seniors are doing now. Going to the senior center, making sure that they know when to mail it, know what to answer on the ballot questions, and that they fill it out correctly because there's a lot of rules. You have to put it in an envelope, then the envelope in the envelope, things like that. That's all that voter education and
Mm-hmm.
making sure that people understand how to vote because as we know, every little mistake now is a ding and it gets kicked back and that's one vote not counted for.
Absolutely. Another example, if you want to do some what we're calling voter mobilization, right? Not physically taking somebody to the polls because that would be inappropriate, right? We don't want to, that's called, risk management to be mindful of, right? We're not saying that. However, maybe your church has a van and they plan to do some of that, maybe helping them coordinate that, right? um Maybe the church is the local voting spot, maybe you all can volunteer to help, to with poll watching or whatever, that could be all part of mobilization, right? To make sure they are reminded when to vote because there's going to be a lot of disinformation, right? And people will probably not be sure when to vote. And as Sora Jones mentioned, when to get those mail-in ballots in, right? Um, that could be an example. An example could also be put together a town hall, right? If maybe, your local representative would like, let's say somebody's running for city council and they want to come to the senior center to hold a town hall, maybe you can assist with that type of program. We're definitely nonpartisan, but you certainly can assist the senior center in organizing having different people who might be on the ballot come and give a little talk, like I said, a town hall, to answer some questions that may be had. And the last thing, suggestion would be to participate in a phone bank, or being able to send out nonpartisan information in your community, handing out leaflets and things like that. An organization that we highly recommend is working with the League of Women Voters, right? We know there's a Bucks County and there's a separate one down in the Philly area, but that's an excellent organization to partner with because they're also nonpartisan. And they've already done the heavy lift, right? And you as a chapter can just kind of hitch on to their wagon and help, do some of those things. So Soror
And
Jones,
phone banks
anything
can
else?
happen.
Go
Yep,
ahead.
and phone banking can happen right in the comfort of people's homes nowadays. So last election during the 2024
Or
election, we did phone banking right from our home. So we were able
mm,
to get the list, we were able to make calls, and you'd have to, and that's a nice way to get seniors involved in advocacy as well because they can do that from the comfort of their home and utilizing their cell phone or their house phone and it has a way to block your number and all that great stuff. It's pretty unique how phone banking was very impactful right from the comfort of the dining room table.
all right. Any questions so far? There's something in the chat. Did somebody I can't see the chat
Yes,
right
in
now.
the chat, Sora Robinson put reverse mortgages years ago were predatory for seniors. I'll have to read this new bill. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, well, I mean, it's still considered that by some people. However, there's been a lot more education upfront from the mortgage companies. And that's what this whole bill is about, mandating the counseling, mandating the education portion, right? That's what this bill really is about, the way that I read it. But please look into it. Things may have changed. Who knows? They could have changed position by now. Like I said, this was about a week ago when I looked it up. But thank you for that comment. Appreciate that. All right. So this last part, we want to encourage you to really focus on the metrics, right? Because especially, our grant really wants us to emphasize the importance of collecting data, being able to report out on data, not just in the Zeta service management system, but collectively as an organization, right? You absolutely want to get your points. I understand that, right? Depending on whatever program you decide to put on. But are you as a chapter keeping track of those metrics, right? Are you as a chapter keeping a database of your outreach efforts to people you come in contact with? Every time you have a table set up, are you collecting phone numbers and email addresses so that you can stay in touch with people, right? Do you have leaflets and brochures and business cards for you to be able to give out and have that communication, have your chapter website information? But this only way to do that is to do your surveys, right? How do you know your program has reached the goals that you set out for, reached the number of people that you were projecting to reach, right? Um, again, as I mentioned, with Zeta Service Management System, we already have to give it our flyer and the pictures and the videos and the number of people in attendance. But if you take one step further and put together a little Google survey, right? You can even have a QR code with you on the table that people can scan, that they can give you their information so you don't have to physically write it out. Nobody's keeping track of paper nowadays, right? Do a QR code so that they can just take them right to a Google form to collect the information, to give you feedback about your program and give you feedback about what their needs and what their concerns are, right? Keeping a database of the attendees at your events. We want to make it easy and make it simple for them. So this is just an example of how to do it, right? It just ask for general, because we're just talking just general demographics. We're not asking for, name, address, and social security number. No, you just want zip code, maybe an email address, just to say that, yep, you did this outreach and you had 20 people attend your programming. However, your information may have reached a lot more people, right? Depending on you know, the evaluation and who they've sent the information to as well. So, any questions? So this last slide lets you know that we've already set up a Google Drive for you all that has all of the things that we looked at tonight. It's going to have the PowerPoint. It's going to have, let me show you. It has the PowerPoint is there, the advocacy information, the letter, the community needs assessment is there. One last thing I wanted to show you is, oh, this is what I did. Okay. Can you see that pop up?
Yes, we can
Yes.
see.
Okay. So I put together this, and this came out in the Regional Torch a couple of weeks ago. Right, like right now is everything about the ARLC, but a couple of weeks ago, I was able to put this in the Regional Torch to give you an example of how to do all of the Extraordinary Power of She programming for the whole year. Okay, so right now, September, a good suggestion is to do the Adopt a Senior program, adopt a nursing home, or the voter education and mobilization that we talked about tonight, right? October, great time to do flu prevention. Also, you might want to partner with a CVS to do something like that, to talk about vaccines. I know that's real controversial right now, but trust me, it's still a good thing to do, right? But it's also open enrollment time for Medicare. So this is also a great time to do that. You can, there's a lot of Medicare, quote unquote, Medicare counselors that are available to help give information to the community. For November, it's National Caregiver Awareness Month. It's also, Veterans Appreciation. You can certainly combine that type of programming to either do a workshop or go to a veterans home. We certainly focus on veterans, women's veterans rock. There are many chapters that do that type of programming. So for December, the suggestion is to do some sort of holiday activity, whether with the senior center, adopt a, hold on, let me close this thing. My chapter does a caroling session where it's a group of us and we literally do sing you know, Christmas carols at the local assisted living facility that we go to. In January, you want to really focus on fall prevention and safety. It's a very critical issue for the seniors about home safety. If you happen to know a handyman or a small organization that does that type of stuff, maybe they can give a talk. That would be a great way to help the local seniors get better suggestions about keeping their home safe. February is our Zetas Have Heart. And the suggestion would be chair yoga or some type of stretching program. March is National Nutrition Month. Great idea to get a chef to do some meal preparation or something like that. So this gives you the suggestions through the whole year of different programming. But that was the only other thing that I didn't show you tonight that is already in the shared drive. So it gives you all of these resources that you can utilize, and we'll send out the link to all of this and the PowerPoint slides as well. And that is our program. So let me stop the share to see if there's any questions or any discussion. I love this nice little intimate group we have here. Any questions?
No, just want to comment that it was very informative. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate it. And what we'll do is we'll have Madam State Director put this on replay for, the other chapters that weren't able to attend because, we're all busy. People got stuff. People got stuff to do, right? And good, we are under our 1 hour time limit. So I will give you all back the rest of your evening. I thank you all for joining us. I wish everyone well, and we'll send out all the information to everyone who attended.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Soror. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good luck with your
Okay.
initiatives this year.
Thank you. This was very informative. You can use this thing, like the tools that were shared here across initiatives and
clearly.
committees. So thank
All
you
of
so
them.
much.
That's right. Thank you.
Welcome to us.
All right. Have a good evening, Soros.
Thank you, Soros. Have a good one.